Welcome back to another reaction, and today I'm reacting to a song by one of my all-time favorite artists. She has been like probably my #1 favorite artist consistently since 2006. That is JJ Heller. She's amazing. I followed her since very few people were showing up. I went to one of her concerts in 2009. There were maybe 15 of us there in the audience, and now she's got 3 or 4 million monthly listeners on Spotify and is doing so much, and I have loved watching her career and her message grow and just have people continually come across her music and be touched and affected by it. On that note, her music always seems to come out in a time when it seems like she has read my diary, because she always writes songs that seem to come out at the exact right time for the message that I want to hear, and oh boy, they're always emotional. Her most recent First Friday song, which I've not listened to yet, it is now Monday, and it has killed me not to listen to it over the weekend because I always listen to it like at midnight when her songs release. I purposely didn't want to because I saw what she had said about the song, and I knew I wanted to react to it. So I want to read you what she said in her Instagram post about the song, and then we're going to react to the song Only Time Will Tell by JJ Heller. Here's what she said. This video gets me every single time. When we're young, we make vows, imagining an easy and wonderful future. We say, for better or for worse, even though we don't know what lies ahead. We promise to be faithful, supportive, and true no matter what. Making these promises is indeed an act of love, but living out this love in hospitals, worst-case scenarios, and late-night bouts with pain, that's love on another level, a deeper, expanded love. I'm already getting choked up reading this because this is describing the life that Roger and I have been living for the past decade. With that said, this beautiful video is dedicated to those fighting through intense physical challenges and to those who love them fiercely and relentlessly. Love is a story that only time will tell. I skimmed this caption. I didn't read every word. I didn't know I was going to start crying reading the end of that sentence, but love is a story that only time will tell. And then about the video, she says, a huge thank you to this brave couple who has allowed us to share part of their story with the world in hopes that it will bring healing and encouragement. And another giant thank you to Joy Prouty for capturing the sacred footage, both of their labor with their first child several years ago and also of the recovery from a double mastectomy mere weeks ago. So on that note, Roger and I used to post daily vlogs with the goal being showing how we are living out the in sickness part of in sickness and in health, because chronic illness has taken over our life for over a decade now. And I want to say I have a feeling this is going to be a really emotional video for me, not just because of that subject matter, but because the video, this couple that they're filming the birth of their first child and then her recovery from a double mastectomy. That's emotional enough on its own. One of the hardest things for me in this life, though, is that I'm 34 years old, dealing with all these chronic illnesses, with no idea if I'll ever be able to be a mother. And that's what I want more than anything in the world. I actually talked about that in a video a little while back because it's that powerful to me. So I'm a little worried about how I'm going to handle that part of the video, but I'm just trying to keep a comprehensive view. Yeah, let's react. I'm already crying before it even starts, so let's dry these tears, and then we'll start. Oh boy. Here we go. Only Time Will Tell by JJ Heller.
There's not enough paper in this world. There's not enough ink to write it down.
I can't explain to you the emotions that just hearing JJ's voice brings up in me. Just hearing her voice, not only is she amazing when it comes to singing, she just has such a wonderful, comforting, beautiful voice. She has so mastered the art of storytelling and connecting to people's personal stories on such a deep level that just her voice in those first 2 lines is already getting my heart.
No melody is sweet enough, no metaphor is deep enough to describe the treasure I have found.
I can't. No melody is sweet enough, no metaphor is deep enough. I can't tell you the number of times I've told Roger I don't have the words to tell you how much it means that you are living out that in sickness and in health part of our vow when I know things are so difficult. Some of the images here, I can't count the number of times that Roger has been there with me in the hospital, holding my hand, just trying to comfort me, just trying to calm me down, brushing back my hair on my forehead so he can kiss my forehead before he has to leave to do whatever errand it is, and then just come back to the hospital to be there with me because He is that person for me. There are no melodies or metaphors that are sweet enough or deep enough because I have totally found treasure in him that I never thought possible.
I keep trying to tell you how I feel, but I always come up short.
Always.
How beautiful you are to me, but there aren't enough words. I
literally just said that out, that there aren't enough words. I wish I could explain to my husband how much. I wish I had words. That's all.
Keep trying to write a love song, but it's hard to say it well. Love is a story that only time will tell.
Oh my gosh. I don't want to just talk about myself because this video is so emotional and so well done and so just tugging on the heartstrings, and I love watching their joy here during the birth of their child here. It's just, it's just beautiful. It's impossible to say it well with words because like she said, their love is a story only time will tell.
It's one thing to say for better or worse, and another when you find out what that means.
Oh my gosh. Did you see that scene there? Did you see that scene where the husband was helping the wife literally take a shower? Roger has had to help me with stuff like that so many times. I'll sit on my shower chair and he'll have to literally pick me up straight from that in a towel and bring me in here and lay me on the bed, or help me wash my hair, or help me just get through the shower without passing out or without falling down out of the chair or anything like that. So many of the specifics are just so similar that it's really rocking my world right now. And I'm so thankful that this couple has the beautiful children that they've been blessed with. It's also really painful to watch that part of it. I want to be able to just have joy for them, but it's also really painful to watch that part because, again, I really want to be a mother.
So much happens over time. Some dreams come true and some will die. How do you describe that kind of thing?
Here's the deal. You can't describe this life to a couple who's not living it. You can't describe what it's like to live out the vows in sickness and in health when you're dealing with chronic physical and chronic mental illnesses that literally dictate your life. You cannot describe that to anyone else. You cannot describe the pain of losing the dreams that you've had, the dreams that while you were dating you thought, okay, this is going to be our life, this will be our life, this will be our life, and then none of that can come true. Maybe some of them will change, and then you'll want that even more. Some of those you're going to have no choice but to be forced to let go of because it's going to become impossible. That's just the reality of chronic physical illness that limits your ability to function. And how the heck do you describe that reality to someone who's never had to deal with that? You really can't. There really aren't words. There really aren't any words.
I keep trying to tell you how I feel, but I always come up short. How beautiful you are to me, but there aren't enough words. I keep trying to write a love song, but it's hard to say it well. Love is a story that only time will tell.
I want to point out there that she said I want to write a love song, but I couldn't say it well. I actually did write a song. It's a rap because that's the only way I was able to access writing for several years, was to turn on a beat and try to write words to the beat and lyrics to the beat. And honestly, that's still kind of the only way I can really get into writing. But I wrote Roger a song in 2015 or 2016, and it was dedicated to him, and the title of it was literally In Sickness and in Health. Yep.
I've searched libraries and dictionaries, studied poets, still all I know is I keep trying to tell you.
Okay, so I've literally spent more hours, days, weeks, probably months of my life in the 34 years of my life studying dictionaries and grammar handbooks and poets and libraries and all of that. And like she said, my words always they're never enough. They always seem to fall short when I'm trying to really express to my husband how truly grateful I am that he is in my life. And I also wanted to pause it here because I think it's super powerful. The imagery here, we're now in the part of the video where they're showing the double mastectomy side of things, and you can see her husband is writing on her body where she has just had that operation, writing things like life and mother and abundance and health and whole, and reminding her that all of these things are part of her inherently. And the fact that she had a double mastectomy, the fact that she had breast cancer, the fact that she's had any chronic illnesses, the fact that he has had to become a caregiver as well as a father and a husband, none of that takes away from everything that she inherently is and everything that he fell in love with whenever they first started a relationship together. And I just think it is so powerful to see him writing these words on her body as that reminder in what looks like permanent ink, because it looks like it's a Sharpie. I could be wrong, but that's what it looks like. Okay.
How I feel, but I always come up short. How beautiful you are to me, but there aren't enough words. I keep trying to.
Wait, what does that say here? Rewind it. I want to try to read what it says here. Blossoms of grief and charity bloom in these darkened fields alone. What had Eden ever to say of hope and faith and pity and love? Strange blessings, never in paradise, fall from these beclouded skies. I gotta figure out where that poem's from. That is literally an excerpt from the poem titled One Foot in Eden by Edwin Muir. I never know how to pronounce that last name, M-U-I-R. That's what the poem is that he's written there, and oh my gosh, I can't wait to read the whole poem once I finish the video.
I keep trying to write a love song, but it's hard to say it well. Love is a story that only time will tell. Love is a story that only time will tell.
Oh my lord, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I knew that was going to be a really hard one. I knew that was going to hit really close to home. I knew it was also going to be difficult watching the birth of a child, of someone else's child on camera. I will say I was kind of surprised at the way that, yes, that was a little painful to me because it's painful to me to constantly be reminded that I'm not a mother. However, it was so overshadowed and it pales in comparison to the message of the song that was coming across in the video and in JJ's lyrics and storytelling, because I have never felt like my words are adequate enough to tell my husband everything that I want to say to him, to express to him how appreciative, how grateful, how much I love him for just who he is, not because he does things for me, but I love who he is because who he is has him living out that part of our vow in sickness and in health, when really most of our marriage has been in sickness and in sickness. And here's a little secret, actually. When we were engaged before we actually got married, we kind of joked, because I've always dealt with a lot of health issues, even if we didn't know what they were and even if they weren't quite yet completely debilitating. So we would joke around and be like, oh, well, in our vows, should we say in sickness and in sickness? And we laughed it off. And then that's the life we've been living. We've been living a life of sickness for over a decade now, debilitating sickness for over a decade. And that's the primary reason that we've not been able to become parents. Is the primary reason we've not been able to do any of the things that we thought we would be doing when we were dating and engaged and when we first got married. So once again, thank you, JJ Heller, for putting lyrics with a melody that tells a story that basically I'm still convinced that you have gotten my journal, that you have somehow gotten a copy of my journal, or you have my journal bugged and you're writing these songs based on things that I have written in my journal, because not only does the message always perfectly apply and resonate and hit home so deeply, but the time that these songs are released are always right when I need to hear that very specific message. Roger and I have been having a really hard time lately finding moments of joy, holding on to hope of any kind, because this eating disorder relapse that has now been going on for about a year and a half, despite me trying to claw my way out of it every single darn day, has stolen a lot of the light, a lot of the joy, a lot of the ability to just live life together from us. And I refuse to let that continue to be the case, because I want to let him know that I take those vows as seriously as he did. And yes, we've been in sickness, but it's my duty to keep working at recovery, to try to get to a place of at least mental health and freedom, at least eating disorder recovery, and health and freedom. Most, if not all, of my chronic physical illnesses, I have zero control over. I do not know if I'm gonna wake up one day and suddenly have to crawl or drag myself across the floor because I can't walk. I don't know if I'm gonna wake up screaming because my head feels like it's exploding from the inside out and like my brain is trying to break out of my skull. I don't know if I'm gonna wake up one morning and suddenly not be able to eat by mouth because all of my GI stuff has immediately overnight gotten worse and I have to resort to using my feeding tube 24/7. I cannot predict or control any of those variables. I also cannot predict or control recovery. However, eating disorder recovery is the one thing that I have to be able to find a way to keep making choices, to keep taking action aligned with recovery, because even though I struggle to believe that my life can be worth living, I struggle to believe that with my limited physical functionality, my inability to really leave the house much at all, if ever, it's really hard to see that there can be a life that's not just pain and suffering. However, since all of that physical stuff is in no way in my control in any way, shape, or form, recovery, while the eating disorder was not my choice, while this relapse was not my choice, I have to find a way to choose to continue taking actions even when I don't think I really want recovery for myself, because I definitely want a better life for Roger, who has dedicated the past decade to living out in sickness and in health and being such a perfect epitome of that. And I want to be able to give him some of that health. I want to be able to give him a period of health. And I can't predict the physical illnesses, but I can sure as heck work at the recovery stuff, even if I don't think I want it for myself, even if I can't see that it will be worth it. Only time will tell. Ain't it the truth? Only time will tell. I can't necessarily connect to a really strong vision of what I want recovery for myself. I do want to be a mother. That's something that from time to time I'm able to latch onto that, but not consistently. However, only time will tell. I don't want to do these recovery actions, but I'm doing them anyway because it's only if I'm doing them that the time will end up telling me, oh, hey, guess what? It actually did work out. If you don't do the actions, only time will tell. Nope, doesn't matter because you're not doing the thing. But like many things I say, this is just as much for myself as it is anyone else. You have to feel terrified and take the action in recovery anyway. You have to feel the fear and do the thing anyway, because that's the only way that time will tell. That's the only way. By taking the actions over time is the only way that time will tell if you can have a life that is more enjoyable, a life of more freedom, a life that is just more full of love and hope and possibility that you maybe have lost sight of. And again, saying that to myself because I know I've lost sight of a lot of those things. And I know that for me, over the past year or so, I have learned that recovering for other people is not enough to really get me going full steam ahead. However, after watching that video, I just had a session with my coach this morning and we were actually talking about this quite a bit. It's not so much that recovering for Roger, recovering for the life that we're going to live, that it's not enough. It's that a lot of those things still seem daunting and out of reach to me. So it's hard to latch onto them as certainties or tangible things. So then therefore I feel stuck and I feel like I'm being forced to do this for other people when it's really not the case. It's not that Roger's not enough. It's not that our life isn't enough for me to want to do this stuff. It's that those things are so uncertain with the nature of chronic illness. It's so uncertain about what our life will look like. Even if I do go through the recovery process, it's really hard for me to hold on to those things. But I love the way that my coach said it, because I have for over a year now been saying, why isn't it enough? Why isn't it enough that I want to be better for my husband? Why is it that causing my dog anxiety is not enough to push me forward? Why is it that insert blank here has not been enough, has not been strong enough to get me to go forward in recovery? And I just love that she pointed out that's not really the case. It's not that those things aren't enough. It's not that they're not strong enough. It's just that they are not tangible or certain enough for me to be able to cling on to them and feel like it's a solid place to like plant my flag of recovery and let's shoot for that here. The uncertainty of chronic illness, life in general, but specifically life with chronic illness, makes it really hard for me to see a life worth living. That doesn't mean that trying to recover for my husband and for the life that I ultimately want to live with him. So it's not just for him. I have to frame it in some way like it's for him because my brain is telling me I do not want this for myself. But more than anything, I want to be able to live a happy life with my husband. So if that requires going through the actions that I really don't want to take, if that requires doing the crap that I really don't want to do to see if only time will tell if it actually works out, then that's what I have to do. And my heart started racing as soon as I said that, because my mind is like going through the list of all of these things that I have to do, and it's honestly overwhelming, but I owe it to the man who has stuck with me in sickness and in health, and in sickness and in sickness for over a decade. Oh, I owe it to him so much. I owe it to him so much to never stop fighting. He deserves so much more. And I'm hoping that if I go through the reactions that only time will tell, and I'll actually believe that I deserve more too. But he definitely does, and I will never stop fighting to try to give him his wife back and our life back. See you in the next one.